Okay. Looking. This is another video from Nancy Drew. Another video from his channel, Nancy Drew. That's Nancy Drew again. And again, I'm going to link it so that you guys can find their channel and kind of go from there. So we doing this to kind of learn a little bit more about John and dissect John. So this is just sort of evidence surrounding, so let's take a look.
Unsolved.
JonBenet Ramsey case. It was John Ramsey. John Ramsey, on December 26th, after 10 a.m., after no phone call from the ransomer, he thinks to himself, "There's a window downstairs that I broke during the summer. I think I should go down and check on it." And he goes down to the basement, and he looks at that window, and he closes the latch, and he thinks maybe an intruder entered through there. Why would he do that? Why would he go to the basement?
I don't know.
No one suggested that anybody came in through the basement.
No.
In John Ramsey's own words, he believed the ransom note, and there was no reason to look for JonBenet. But when he first goes looking, he goes right to the basement window that he broke during the summer. And yet, no.
And it's funny because he went right to the basement. That means he went downstairs and looked and then came right on back upstairs and was like, "Oh, no, can't find it." And apparently detective was like, "Well, go take a look again. You and Fleet, go take a look again." And John was like, because apparently, like he said, when he opened the door, JonBenet was right there. So you go down there again and you're like, oh, there's this huge comforter in the middle of the floor that I didn't see before. I see it now.
No one came through that window well that night. The only one who suggested that anyone came through that window well is John Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Then others have said someone went through that window well. But the first person who said that was John Ramsey. John Ramsey's words in my fingernail. Got to do something, I think. Anything. Whatever will get JonBenet back. Sometime that morning, I remember a day back in the summer when I left my keys inside and was locked out of the house. To get in, I broke one of the panes in a basement window. Then I reached in and released the latch so I could climb inside. I think about the basement now. I jump up and hurry down there. That entry place needs to be...
Johnny, I'm looking at this part right here, and he's telling me about the suitcase. At the very bottom, final paragraph, maybe this is how the kidnapper got in and out of the house. Johnny, how would the kidnapper, not yet in the house, put the suitcase under him when the suitcase is inside the house? That doesn't make sense, John. How would the kidnapper put the suitcase down to get into the house. The man don't even know anything about your house, John. Unless we're assuming that this kidnapper had come through several times. I mean, that does not make sense.
He looked at, I tell myself. I move down the basement hall and find the window. The pane is still broken, and the window is open, with a large old Samsonite suitcase sitting right under it. Odd, I think. This doesn't look right. This suitcase is not normally kept here. So any of you thinking that an intruder came in through the basement window? John Ramsey told you that. You didn't learn that on your own.
Right.
Somebody else repeated what John Ramsey said, and that's why you think an intruder came through the window.
Of course. I mean, that's all we got.
Oh no? Well, December 26, about 1 p.m. Fleet White is standing next to me, so I ask him to go with me. Fleet is my friend and a father himself. Fleet can help. I decide we start at the basement.
Oh my God, it's like this is like green eggs and ham writing. This is like I just got to get something down. I just got to get something down because people are writing books. I just need to write something down. This is what this is giving. No, let's go back here. I decide we should start at the basement and work our way to the top floor. It's highly unlikely that we'll find anything amiss in our bedroom on the third floor, and we need some kind of system to make sure we don't miss anything. A bottom to top search will do that. Fleet doesn't mention to me that he had been down to the basement earlier that morning. Fleet has been down to the basement earlier that morning. What time would you say? What time would you say that they got over there? Because if you guys got up at 5:30 and you guys called them over, what time did they get over there? More on that in a moment.
After John Ramsey has shown him the window, where does he go? He goes directly to where John Bonet's dead body is, and he discovers her body in the wine cellar. I tell him that I found this window open earlier. We continue our search, and a few minutes later, I'm at the door by the furnace. I open it and see John Bonet lying on the floor. I open it and see John Bonet. I found this window open earlier.
What? When did you go downstairs? I'm confused. So we call it the call. Get the note. 5:52. I'm sorry, at 5:30. I found a note. I scream. I run back upstairs. 5:52. They called the cops. When did the Ramseys call friends over? I want to know that.
We continue our search, and a few minutes later, I'm at the door by the furnace. I open it and see John Bonet lying on the floor.
Friends arrived at the house at 6 to 6:30, right? So they got there pretty early. Things are happening pretty fast. So you made the call at 5:52, but friends were arriving at 6 to 6:30. Did you call the friends first, or did you call the cops first? How close did the friends live? Because if you stayed on the phone for like 5-10 minutes, at least. And you immediately got off the phone and called them. How would they be arriving around 6? And then, upon arrival, Fleet goes down the stairs to check the basement out and doesn't say anything. So people just not communicating. And then at some point in time, John disappears and goes down there and doesn't tell anybody. But then they go down there together. Okay.
According to the autopsy done by the pathologist, there was scarring, past abuse. So we know that the intruder most likely didn't do that. We also know that John Bonet was wetting the bed often. And we know that John Ramsey was the last one to bed that night. And we know that John Ramsey was in the Navy, a sailor. He enjoyed sailing. He owned a sailboat. He was familiar with tying lines. He was questioned in his deposition about knots, and if he knew anything about a knot like this. John Ramsey testified that he has not looked at that photo because it's painful.
So the cops show up at 5 something, almost 6, and the detective shows up around 8 o'clock. If the cop was there, I feel like